So we have to remember that the FGC has previously, over the years, and we have a long memory, completely lost their mind at things like invitational tournaments. Richard has told the stories about E-League many times, where if the community can't participate, which, by the way, this is an instance in which if there's an event in Riyadh, certainly a lot of the community probably shouldn't participate because of the dangers of them traveling to Riyadh. And also, by having a tournament, an open tournament in Riyadh, who is really going to go there? You're not going to get the thousands of people that you have from an Evo, right, in America, because people from America, by the way, the overwhelming center of console gaming alongside Japan, those places are really far away from Riyadh. East Asia and America are really far. It's not Europe where it's right next door. Right, guys? So those people all going to fly out there to participate? And if the soul of the FGC is the average fan's participation, what does it mean to have an event where very few people will have the means to get there, right? Turns into an invitational. Invitationals are evil, as we know. So what has happened is that we have had SonicFox, who is major fighting game player, one of probably the greatest ever in terms of...
No question about it.
In terms of accomplishments. Famously, very publicly, a furry, non-binary, queer.
He literally wears the fursuit when he competes, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm reading the SonicFox's Twitter bio. Forgive us if we say the wrong thing here. It's not to be disrespectful. I don't know all the nomenclature that we should be using for SonicFox. Anyway, SonicFox had previously, and we'll get into this, boycotted Evo for good reasons, by the way, I think. Because we'll start things off by talking about the crisis that happened at Evo previously, because this has not been a tournament that has been without scandal in the past. And the previous person who ran Evo in 2020, so 5 years ago, was basically justifiably run out of the community for doing things like really creepy sex shit. And a lot of this happened many years before 2020, like in the...
That's a curse of the FGC, by the way.
Right, in the early 2000s.
Let's also just be clear, right? You could throw a fucking dart into a bunch of FGC people and it was fucking sexist.
And they'd go, how did you hit those three pedos?
The amount of like pedophilia... sex scandals in the FGC.
Discord grooming, all sorts of creepy
is crazy.
Shit, yeah.
Even there was that headline about Smash, and Smash consider themselves not to be in the FGC. Spoiler, you are. It's a fighting game. Shut the fuck up. I don't give a fuck. We get a documentary. Fuck all of you people. You fucking ridiculous. So anyway, the fucking, there was a headline. I can't remember what magazine it was on, but it was just something like, it was like when we were doing the Me Too thing in esports and it made it into the FGC. And it was like 50 people. It was like the headline was like 50 people accused. I was like, what? 50?
So
5 would be fucking crazy. What are you talking about?
There have been a lot. I mean, that's a different episode where we go over the FGC's numerous sins, because there have been many. But this particular sin was that the guy who was running Evo at the time had, in the early 2000s, so 15, 20 years before this happened in 2020, was at like arcades, local arcades and local tournaments, and giving underage boys like arcade tokens to show him their penis, or like betting them that they wouldn't like strip naked and go in like some pond that was nearby or something like that. So basically he was an adult who was grooming underage boys. And justifiably, by the way, shout out to the FGC for this one. They boycotted Evo 2020. Evo 2020 didn't happen. It was canceled because of this. They kicked the guy out. Good for you. Like, awesome work, guys. Don't let this person continue within that community who would potentially go on to further sexually exploit young people.
That have to go to Evo and potentially drink something that they've left unattended for 5 seconds, breathed a heavy sigh of relief. 1 year, you don't have to worry about the roofies.
So this is all to say that
I fucking hate this
SonicFox
community, by the way.
was part of that boycott.
Absolutely
And so
disgusting.
the problem now is that SonicFox has said, in response to shout out to the esports advocate for breaking the story, and James Fudge again. What a G. And hopefully got some good success out of this, because as I'm looking at it right now, the tweet from the esports advocate has 6.6 million views on Twitter. So almost certainly by far the biggest headline that they've ever posted, which has been the news breaking that Evo organizer RTS has been fully acquired by Saudi Arabian megacity project Qiddiya. And SonicFox quote retweets this, as did many of us, and says, I have a personal life goal that I've been dedicating myself to when it comes to Evo, and I plan to see it through, which, by the way, is the entire point. We could just stop there. SonicFox has a goal. That's the only important thing here. And so everything else SonicFox is going to say is just to justify this goal. Not going to back off. So I will not be erased, even if it means I'm the only voice there. I will simply be gayer and louder than ever as I wave my trans rights flag in grand finals. Okay, let me explain this. As we have seen, being gayer just makes you censored in Saudi Arabia. When Team Liquid tried to be gayer, when Steve Aronset, whom nobody publicly knew was gay, announced that he was gay, what happened was, and what?
I just said hashtag out for Saudi.
Out for Saudi. And then went on to the EWC Level Up documentary to talk about being gay and announce that we're still going to have the pride there. What they did was that documentary, that part is cut out of the documentary for Saudi audiences. If you are geolocated with an IP address on Saudi, you do not see that content on Amazon Prime. And they censored the rainbow Liquid logo, even though it's not a rainbow flag. It's just the horse with a rainbow on it and could be literally anything. So we can say that being gayer is not going to be seen in Saudi. Therefore, it will change nothing for the actual gay people who are being oppressed by the Saudi Arabian government. As we said at the start of the episode, it doesn't matter what you do, because you are not going to be shown to the Saudi audience. And this is a shield to prevent them from having to change. They want you to be gayer. The more gay you are in a place where their people, their citizens
Controlled
don't see
environment.
it makes them look progressive.
Yes.
They want you to be gay. They want
That's
you to...
the part that he still doesn't get this, Monty, right? That in this case, the best thing about this, if you're the Saudis, is now when someone who's not us and knows esports and knows the game, when someone just naive from the BBC goes, is it true, though, that you suppress these things there? They go, no, what are you talking about? We have an openly gay owner that we work with. They've come second in the award. There's a champion from the fighting games called SonicFox. He actually wears a Persona on suit. We're totally fine with him doing that. We have no problem. They can brag about that. If anything, it actually gives them a token, that's a key word here, mate, a token win. They get to look like, in a very controlled, artificial manner, they're fine with it, Monty, and there is no big deal with it. It actually allows them to create a false front.
I'm even going to rewind. I'm going to rewind, because unless there's something about you guys I don't know, I think I'm the only one on the show that's had a boyfriend. So
Sure.
I get to say this. What the fuck are you talking about when you say gayer? That makes you the exact type of person that 90% of the LGBT community think is fucking cringe. We can't stand you going out and saying shit like this. What, there's a special knob we all twiddle in our back? I'm going to make the gluck noise super loud now.
You know, Richard, I've tried to turn my straighter knob up, but it just isn't working. I don't know how to be straighter.
I am talking for the if he can talk for fucking the LGBT community, I definitely fucking can. And let me tell you, we find
you are the Lorax. You speak for the gays.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I never play this cards. But when you say stuff like, I am going to be gay, it is cringe. It is cringe because first of all, your sexuality shouldn't be your whole fucking personality. One of the reasons, by the way, that gay rights and the kind of perception of gay people, bi people, trans people, in America particularly, one of the reasons why people are getting this fatigue about this shit is phraseology like that. Like, we can just dial our gayness up. Okay, if you can dial it up, turn it down then. Right? That's what the bigots have been fucking saying for years. So if I can turn it up to a 10 at a whim, then the bigots can tell me to turn it down to a 1 or a 2, right? We've said for fucking decades, it's just who we are. It's not a fucking trapping. It's not just something we adopt. It's not just an affectation. He's literally telling the world, I'll be gay then. That'll show Saudi. First of all, it won't show them anything. And second of all, stop saying shit like that. You make us all look bad, you fucking imbecile. It's like ridiculous. It's actually insane. So, no, by the way, to all the straights out there, there isn't a button in our back. We don't just go, I'm going to be 8 gay today. 8 gay. I'm an 8-level gay. I'm an 8-level gay. Fucking hell, he's hot. Turn it up to 10. Turn it up to 10. Oh, hi. What the fuck are we doing? It's just who you are. That's the whole premise behind gay rights, that it's an immutable trait that you carry with you, and how you choose to express it is an extension of your personality. So I fucking hate that. I also hate the fact that this guy, it's like, get in there and make it all about you. Such a fucking SonicFox thing to do, by the way. Because we had to do with this. This is well beyond the statute of limitations. This fucking diva, when he rolled up to E-League, like, everybody has to bow and scrape because of who he is and blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you, at E-League, like, he's not a fucking fun person to be around. People used to fucking come backstage and be like, oh, you know, he's like hogging the green room or doing this or doing that. People said his fursuit fucking stank. They complained about it. People said his fursuit actually smelt so bad that people were privately coming to E-League staff and saying, I can
imagine being under the lights. You're in a fucking TV studio.
Saying, can you at least ask him not to wear it in the green room and stuff? And then the same people making the complaints, they're in the green room with him. Sonic, you're so good at the games. This guy's a fucking diva. He's just a diva from start to finish. And it's like really poor fucking taste, by the way, to come out and on this topic say, don't worry, guys, I've got a personal goal. Let me tell you about some personal goals, my little friend, right? There are the personal goal of gay people in Saudi Arabia and lesbian people in Saudi Arabia and trans people in Saudi Arabia and non-binary people in Saudi Arabia. Their personal goal is to live their lives in quiet seclusion and not be discovered by the state because of what would happen to them if it ever got out. Your personal goal, win an optional video game tournament and have a check signed by MBS, and you're doing it, you're some kind of hero. Unfortunately not, my friend. How history works, it's this. If you want to be an activist, you don't get the rewards. It is a lonely road. Yes. There is a sacrifice. There is a penalty to pay, and it's the messaging and the adoration and the respect and what you achieve and what you represent. That's the currency. You don't get the money from the evil regime and this. These are the two choices. You cannot have both. You cannot have both. And instead, in these tweets that he's put out today, which I'll read some of the other ones in a bit. Yeah. The tweets he's put out today, it is ultimately just all about him. I'm going to succeed in my personal goals. I'm going to be gay. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to wave a trans flag. Right, well, when you get your personal invite to Riyadh, by the way, because they want to use you as a useful idiot, try pulling that trans flag out on stage and see what happens. Don't worry, me and Amnesty International will write your appeal to try and get you out of whatever fucking gulag you were stuffed in, also, you fucking moron.
It's very important to note that he's saying he's going to be gayer. Now, this is a perfect time, by the way, for SonicFox to make a public statement that is like, I disagree with the treatment of LGBTQ people in Saudi Arabia. Here are the things that they do. You'll notice very clearly the SonicFox does not do this. And does not say...
By the way, he even used the veil language. He just said they're oppressive or something. He didn't even mention, what do they do, SonicFox?
Yeah,
did they kill them, bro?
Let me tell you, the only way to fight back against this is to use one's platform to specifically call out the bad parts of Saudi Arabia, because the goal of what they're doing, they want SonicFox to go to Qiddiya, which is a Potemkin village, where SonicFox will be isolated from everybody else in Saudi Arabia. They could put a camera on SonicFox and say, look how progressive we are, to avoid dealing with the uncomfortable truths about how the Saudi government treats people like SonicFox.
What's really interesting as well is because, right, a lot of this stuff is baked into the fact they're a theocratic state. It's like, for example, it's the fact like, oh, Iran, you can get a sex change operation because the Quran doesn't say anything specifically about trans people, right? So I'm sure the Quran doesn't address furries. Now, I've only read translations, guys. Pretty sure they're not in there. And fucking Muhammad did say you must never dress up like an anthropomorphized
by the most vague interpretation, maybe they'd have an issue because you're not allowed to create idols or depict things.
Could be idolatry.
Again,
probably biblical thinking.
You'll get
That's
through
your
that
Old Testament brain, Duncan.
So the point is like the only way to combat this is not to lean into it and do it, because that's what they want. Let's be very clear. Mm-hmm. They want to use you as a useful idiot. So you have to not participate and use your platform to call it out. Now, here's some other examples of what people in the FGC could do. They could say, you know what? I will be going to Evo, but you know what? I'm not competing. I'm going to stand outside and we're going to have a protest and we're going to get our signs on cameras at Evo and we're going to say the Saudis suck and we're going to make a big stink about it.
You're going to learn. I mean, you already knew it. But here's what I'll tell you about the FGC. You'll never meet a bigger, pussified community who have always wanted to have their cake and eat it on every single fucking topic, by the way. So, esports, that's head-ass, man. Esports is head-ass, man. It's corporate shit. Fuck the people that promote that esports shit. Okay, cool, right? So we don't like esports. It's head-ass, right? You said it. It's what you've told me a million times, whatever the fuck head-ass is. Yeah. You fucking idiots, right? Okay, so it's head-ass, right? Fuck off then. You're not part of our thing. You're giving out awards? Can we have some of them delicious esports awards? Can we have some of that delicious
Mate, do you know how many times I've had this? If I ever dare, as the role of the esports historian, say who the greatest people are, why are you not mentioning Street Fighter? Why are you not mentioning Melee? You told me you're not part of esports. Yeah. Which is it? I can't keep track, guys.
Exactly. They do that every single fucking time. It also comes down to it as well, you know, with like just any sort of sponsorships that are going around. It's like really funny. They're like, nah, man, FGC is grassroots for life. It's grassroots. It's all about the locals, yeah? And then they go, I wish there was more money and more sponsorship. And it's like, nobody wants to sponsor your product because your product is 50 fucking losers and 2 good players in a building. And we have to watch the 50 losers get eliminated. So the 2 good players that could have just played on day
Richard,
1 play on day 5.
That's not even the worst part from a sponsorship perspective. The nightmare of the FGC is that one of those losers flukes a win against one of the good players. And then the finals, which are the most viewed, just have the player that you didn't sponsor in them.
And I know Duncan feels this way too. I don't mind a fluke. It's fine. Like a fluke is a fluke is a fluke is a fluke. Like,
but in a bracket with thousands of people, you increase the chance of flukes significantly, which you could be like, that's the magic of the FGC. True, but you can't have big sponsors who are like, I'm sponsoring this player because if it's a small percentage chance of a fluke, if you do that dozens of times in one tournament, it becomes much more likely to happen.
And then let's just talk about the makeup of the FGC. For some reason, it's some sort of unholy alliance of people who want to be ghetto tough guys.
This is the most bizarre thing to me,
But unbelievable screeching progressives, and they just seem to bond over fighting games and fucking anime.
So bizarre,
the levels of social dysfunction are off the charts in this community.
Yes.
Like, it is mental. It is absolutely mental. So you'll get browbeaten by these guys over here saying, you're a Nazi, man, you're a Nazi. You said, like, Trump wasn't Hitler. So obviously...
If people don't know, look, I don't know if on this show we ever addressed it, but if you ever watch Richard's content, you'll know it is literally the fighting game community is why he left E-League. Yeah. Because they literally treated Richard like everything he said was a dog whistle. By the way, the same people are now the ones working with the Saudis. Like, that's the insanity of 10 years later, you know.
They accused me of being racist for a joke that black people approved of in a writer's room, right? Which was, again, putting a security guard on stage for 2 players that had a notorious beef and said they were going to get into it. And because we zoomed in on the security guard,
and they were both black as well. It wasn't even like one.
Yeah, and there was a black security guard. So everyone involved is black. The writers are black. The players are black. The security guard's black. And then motherfuckers like Ultra David are going, I don't know about the optics of having a police officer.
Also, how is that your fault,
people.
Richard? By the way, how is that your fault?
Yeah. Well, I'm the right wing racist, obviously.
No, but like you. You don't have control
He
over
decides
the
everything,
direction
obviously.
of the
No, no.
production as the host
He
of the
runs the
show.
league.
No. I don't know if you know this, but like, you know, I've got a double barrel surname. It's Richard E. League Lewis. That's why we called it that. So anyway, so you get wrecked on that side, and then the backlash is, oh, what? He's bad. He's not he's not down with the FGC. So then these lunatics on this side, the fake hood guys, some real hood guys, to be fair, they all say they're going to shoot you in the face. They just send you pictures of them with shotguns going, it's on site if I ever see you in Atlanta, Kerr. Oh, wicked, cheers. That's great. That seems like a reasonable price to pay for putting your
So
shit
literal
game.
open carry state. So every fan going, it's just a tweet. They actually could really have the gun and then shoot you with it. Like,
They're sending me pictures of them with the guns. They definitely have the guns. It's Atlanta.
So-
There's guns. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I only lived there 2 years, and I was in a fucking gas station that got shot up. So, you know, yeah. So there's guns in Atlanta, guys.
There's another episode about the crimes of the FGC, but I do want to stay on rails
you're
with
right.
this particular
We'll keep it
SonicFox thing because we
rolling.
have to get to the Dota stuff as well. So this is all to say that it is very disappointing and also confusing that the FGC's
Hold on.
reaction to this.
Just before we move, I do want to get to his other tweets as well.
Please.
Because he also said a couple of bangers. He said, first of all, that he was done arguing the basics of resistance. Because apparently resistance is cooperation. You take their money and you go compete at their tournament, but then you go, haha, I took their money, but, you know, I don't like them. And that's resisting, apparently. I miss that. Like I said, you know what we call those people? Collaborators.
yeah, I was going to say there's an angle I had on this. Here's the thing. You've already established via a precedent in your community of we are LGBTQ people. What's the term you use for people who aren't LGBTQ, who support you? You call them allies. That's, by the way, the terminology of war. Logically, if an ally is someone who supports you against your enemy, then someone who then goes and works with your enemy who would kill you is an enemy of your people. So logically, by your own logic, if you use the term ally, SonicFox, you are an enemy of gay people. And that even spins to another angle that I'm beyond sick of with him, LS, the others, which is, I don't give a fuck that you in the West are gay. You don't speak for all gay people or approve what is allowed for gay people. And you especially don't do what you did in this tweet, which is he said, I am the minority. No, you aren't. That's exactly the important, significant point. If you were a Saudi Arabian person who planned to live in Saudi Arabia and be openly gay, then yes, you would be an incredibly brave person standing against this. You know that you can go there and look, you won't get away with doing it because they'll just keep it off camera, but you know that you never would be. You know that actually the US State Department and Richard Lewis and Amnesty International would come for you and save you and would put political pressure on. So actually you're flaunting in the face of all the gay people who are in Saudi Arabia who can't do what you're going to do, that you can get away with it, have the bag, say lol, maybe even get away with like behind the scenes saying fuck you to the Saudis and still piss off to your country with the giant.
Dude.
It's outrageous.
You know what I mean?
I think. Yeah.
And like on top of that though, like he is one of the most indulged people I have ever seen across all of esports and video games. Everyone tiptoes around him. Nobody says anything bad about him. No one pulls his card when he has bad takes, right? Why? Because he's fucking popular and journalists platform him over and over again.
Yeah.
And he will play the card that if you attack him or disagree with him in any way, you're attacking one of his immutable traits. Every single fucking time. That's who he is. He's a fucking
you're
coward.
racist. It's going to be one of them.
Coward.
You know, what I thought was so interesting is like basically what the fans are doing in the FGC, and you pointed this out, Thorin, is calling him like Jesse Owens, the famous track and field
which is why
athlete.
I called him Jussie Smollett. Because if you look at, he put a tweet out going, I've had many close calls. Oh yeah, was it a couple of brothers and saying it was MAGA country, was it? Like, was that how we were doing it?
So Jesse Owens,
nonsense.
by the way,
he's never had a close call. What close calls? Who's attacking him in fucking...
Oh, by the way, the craziest thing is he's one of those people who does do that. I'm in America and this is the resistance. This guy, I think it was the Game Awards, wasn't it? He won an award and used his moment. This is in the 2010s, by the way, not even recently. He won an award and he famously went up and said something like, I'm black, I'm gay, I'm everything Republicans are scared of. You know what, homie? Keep that energy when it comes to the Saudis. Let me know what the Saudis are scared of. Let me tell me how bold
Tell
you
me
are.
what the Saudis are scared of.
Yeah, this guy. And by the way, again, just like all the people on Twitter, Donald Trump is an authoritarian dictator. player who's going to put me in camps. I said with my face account on Twitter, knowing I'll never even be banned off Twitter. Like, I'm going to go ahead and say you don't even believe that. That's clear you don't by your actions. Nobody in an oppressive regime does that publicly. By the way, do you know where you get doing that? And it does get you fucked up, Monty. In Saudi Arabia. If you say in Saudi Arabia the regime are oppressive and put you in prison, spoiler, they might wait till you come to Saudi Arabia and put you in motherfucking prison. Ask certain activists who've been put in prison for 34 years, etc.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look,
so
he also goes on to say, he says, I'll stop at absolutely nothing to protect the community and values that are true and dear to me, and I don't intend on stopping anytime soon. For me personally, going out doing what you love the most doesn't sound too bad to me. That he is in absolutely zero risk. There is zero risk.
And by the way,
life.
the Saudis bought Evo
It's embarrassing.
knowing that this is what happens at Evo. And they did that intentionally.
Sure.
Intentionally. Because they want that to happen.
Put it this way. It was like at the esports awards where he got up and he just walked on stage and the first thing he said is, "Did anyone say trans rights?" And it's like, who's this for, man? Like, everyone in the room is pro-trans, like, quite literally. Like, there are trans people in the room sat on tables with people you assume are bigots because of your fucked up preconceived ideas about who people are. Like, literally, I mean, people are just looking like, what?
By the way,
okay.
Richard, historically, esports has been one of the most progressive industries in terms of accepting trans people.
We have idolized him.
Absolutely, he's an icon. He's an absolute icon for that, as well as his,
But
as well as the
think
accomplishments.
about how many trans people and how early on trans people were accepted within esports, and trans people becoming champions, and basically everybody saying, like, if you say fucked up shit to them, go away. Like, they just want to compete and they won, so fuck off. Everybody said
even
that.
Like back in like 2010, which I'm told is some sort of like ideological dark age where apparently like we were all just sat around deciding which minority we were going to fucking purge on a weekend. Like, it just was never like that. It's never been like that.
Wasn't one of the early champions of the fighting game, I forget the name, it's Ricky something.
Yeah.
He was a trans person, wasn't it? When the Street Fighter,
Yes.
I think it was that game.
But it's also every other game has had notable trans people. Scarlet and StarCraft, for example.
Sure.
And basically, this, despite what people say, the esports industry has always been one of the most open ever, especially compared to, the average person for people like this.
I'll tell you what the actual punchline is as well. The only people I've even known who were like public figures in esports, who were literal Republican voters, were all secret Republican voters who never bragged about their things, and they're all the fucking owners who paid you your salaries, you idiots. You don't know that. You know this money. That's the sort of person who's Republican in esports. It's like an older generation guy who doesn't ever talk about politics, and he just behind the scenes votes.
And those people are probably very, actually closer to libertarians, where they're very socially
And I tell you
liberal.
what, they're not shutting anyone down in their orgs money. They're not saying in my okay, no, this shit. They're not doing any of that. They're on complete freedom for everyone.
In any case, I do want to just you did poke the holes in the Jesse Owens thing, and Jesse Owens is the famous track and field athlete, black track and field athlete who competed at the 1936 Olympics in Nazi Germany, and Hitler very famously gave Jesse, allowed Jesse Owens to compete and then interacted with Jesse Owens. But you pointed out something very interesting, which is a quote that says, Owens, the NAACP, which is a civil rights group for Black Americans, basically told Owens to say, if there are minorities in Germany who are being discriminated against, the United States should withdraw from the 1936 Olympics. So Jesse Owens was advocating a boycott, and then
person they're citing.
And then
he wanted to boycott it.
Went anyway because he was basically being called un-American by the American government. So the American government pressured Jesse Owens to go compete in a tournament that was hosted by what were obviously at the time, and is even more obviously now, racist bigots. It's not a question. And so
Jesse Owens publicly said, if anyone is being persecuted in Germany, then the US is morally obliged to withdraw. And for that, the US government monstered him. And for a black man in America in the 30s being held up as the face of un-American activity,
it's fucked
that
up.
wasn't just very, very bad
And
for
think
him. That
about
was very
this.
bad for the black community.
And people want to give that as the example of, see, that's why you should go like Jesse and fight it from inside the system. He didn't want to.
He didn't want to.
That wasn't his goal. He himself, if he'd had the choice, would have boycotted it. By the way, I'll even say this right now, bearing in mind, in the end, that got used as propaganda anyway. Like I say, it actually did have a different life of its own. Wouldn't that actually be a very famous thing if one of the best athletes in the world at the time had notably not gone because of this exact reason? That, you could argue, that would be as famous as the fake story now. That would be like an iconic moment. That would be up there with one of the rare moments that someone did protest within it, which is the famous Black Panther fist in the air thing. That would be iconic like that. Most people don't even know what fucking field event that was in, by the way. They just remember the fist in the air. So that's why I thought, what was perfect about that, Monty, was that was someone, and there's a lot of this, like SonicFox, who go educate yourself when they've never cracked a book in their life. Like, you haven't even looked at the Wikipedia entry, motherfucker. Yeah. Like, you're telling us to look up. By the way, there's another thing. I'm sorry, the fact that you're gay doesn't in any way make you more knowledgeable about our resistance against political regimes, you fucking moron. Why would that make you more knowledgeable than me on that topic? What are you talking about? What would the connection even be?
Well, I mean, the other interesting footnote as well, which, like, again, it just gets left out of the Jesse Owens story. So you go, all right, so Jesse Owens actually, he went there, he competed, and I guess Hitler respected black people now. No. That's not what happened. Hitler said, actually, there was no way for Germans to compete against that type of person, and so they should be banned from future events. That was Hitler's takeaway. He didn't look at Jesse Owens and go, wow, what a wonderful example of sportsmanship. Perhaps I'll go away and revise my bigoted opinions. And actually, this whole Fourth Reich thing's kind of fucking whack, actually. Like, why don't we, like the Third Reich thing was kind of whack. Sorry, I'm a Reich ahead of myself. That's too busy listening to all the anti-Trump stuff. So no, he didn't say that. What he said was, we'll just ban black people from future events. That was his takeaway. So ultimately, when you do these things, it's like, look, I think there's more power in non-attendance. If you were to ask me who made a much more profound impact in their respective sports, Jesse Owens or Muhammad Ali, when Muhammad Ali went to literal prison for refusing to be conscripted and go and kill Vietnamese people. Like, there's no competition as to who's a bigger icon and who showed what resistance actually works, because I'm still talking about Muhammad Ali's gesture to this day, and everyone is. And for the heavyweight boxing champion of the world to go to a fucking prison for his principles, that's somebody you should respect and revere.
And to much of his prime, mate. That's always the what if of his career, isn't it? Or people already call him the GOAT, but he actually has like a what if, like an asterisk where he had a bunch of his prime stolen from him.
And they're the people I admire, the people that actually sacrifice stuff. You won't even sacrifice.
By the way, as you can tell, Richard, because of some of this guy's past antics, already I don't particularly like him. I do think he's a dickhead. I would give him mad props if he actually had publicly turned this down for that reason. I would have given him mad props. Yes, absolutely.
And he, by the way, unfortunately, one of the burdens of being an icon is you are the only person who can do it, and it matter. There's going to be some fighting games people who are going to go very quietly to 400 followers on Twitter. I'm not competing. Unfortunately, that won't move the dial. When you're an iconic individual, when you have an iconic presence.
It was the same with Cadrell, Richard. A lot of people aren't even aware Chronicle had chosen to turn it down because he's not a massive figure in the same way. If Cadrell had turned it down, everyone right now in League of Legends would know 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So, obviously, I know we need to move on and get to the daughter stuff. But I mean, like, this is just, for me, everyone has shown their ass on this Saudi stuff.
Yes.
And that's the fundamental problem. That the FGC told me, whilst they were threatening to kill me, that anyone that doesn't hold inclusive values will not ever be welcome in the FGC. And I spent 7 months at Breitbart, so I'm obviously secret, low-key, a white supremacist, Nazi, whatever, right? So obviously I can't be involved in the FGC.
Step 4, question mark. Step 5, welcome Mohammed bin Abdul Salman, true gamer and FGC icon of fucking hell, it's mad, innit?
So I had to deal with all of that because of perceptions about who I am. And a fictitious narrative about who I am.
Yes.
And now a very real regime that we can point to that has very really done all of these terrible things.
And is going to in the future as well, by the way. They're going to kill more people.
Of course. I mean, it's a record number of executions this year. It's the highest number in decades. So what are you going to, when's the line going to be drawn for you guys? I know Monty's smiling because he's thinking about the line, the megacity, but
No, I'm thinking about just, it's so absurd because if the line isn't here, where is it? That's always the question.
So I'll just put this out there.
Where is it?
I don't want to go full chuddersphere here, but I will just point this out. This isn't some distinct group of humans that came from another planet. Like, you're the same community that 10 years ago was obsessed with microaggressions and cultural appropriation and is the correct pronoun usage being used. You can't then be the ones now making the craziest carry water for the Saudi arguments like, but under capitalism, there's no ethical consumption. Well, at the end of the day, isn't really the way to win them over is to dialogue. You're the guys doing the microaggressions. You're the guys where if someone did a dog whistle, if you imagine they meant something that you think they meant, that means they're cancelled. You can't then be like, well, they're only killing 300. Oh, sorry, I got the up 250 this year. That you can't be the guy who does that. That's, by the way, you would have told us 10 years ago, it's us who'd be doing that. We'd be working with the right-wing regime, the authoritarians. We'd be going, well, esports needs the money. Who cares where it comes from? You just said, funny how politics makes for strange bedfellows, and funny how that goes.
Well, also about the,
they're going to expose themselves. All of these commentators, all of them. It's
also fun when you come from the other games.
Yeah.
Because if you were in CS first, you got to see that wave. I saw the same thing start to play out. It's almost got to the Creston League. Just wait a year or two on that one.
Yep.
It's the same in every... It's like the same... I mean, you notice, guys, it's the same exact slow creep in every game where people start as like, I'm not totally... Maybe I'll skip the first one. And then just over time, you see people like Invasion of the Body Snatchers just drop one after another, one after another, one after another. And at the end, who's left? Like a tiny group of survivors.
Yep.
Yeah, and about the Jesse Owens thing, too, to those people making that comparison, tell me by participating what Jesse Owens changed. Tell me what that did. Nothing. In fact, that was 1936. That was before the German war crimes. You know what I mean? That was before the start of the
At the time, by the way, he was just a dictator who'd done some
it's weird. It's weird because it's almost like the way that the Nazis were stopped was by confronting the Nazis, and that by participating in the Nazis' activities, it didn't do anything at all. Weird.
Which is also hilarious because in the same breath as using resistance, I've never liked how American shitlibs have sort of co-opted, we're talking about cultural appropriation. I never really liked how they've co-opted the word resistance because, when you think about what the French resistance was doing and, resistance.
Oh, even, look, we recently did an episode about Central America.
Yeah.
And when I hear resistance, Richard, I think of a young man, ideologically driven, who has an AK-47 and grenades, and he is going to die at some point for this cause.
Yeah.
His job is to give his life for the cause.
Yep.
Like, the idea, I'm going to make a tweet. Get ready, guys. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Actually, I agree. That's just like the euphemisms of not saying that you're killing people and stuff. How dare you upsell what you're doing?
But it's a total sidebar, but it just goes to the heart of what like American liberalism has ultimately become. This performative dance of where it's like, basically, the American liberal likes to believe that if they went to any period in history where a bad thing was happening, they would always be the one that would be right. They would be in the Underground Railroad. They would be in the French Resistance. They would be, and unfortunately, there's not really a lot of opportunity to prove that because the world isn't a fascist hellscape. Well, certainly America isn't. No matter how much you want to LARP that it is. So you have to create these fictitious windmills to tilt at, so you can label This is the psychological mechanism at play here. It's no different with this. It's like ultimately all of these people that are saying we're going to work with Saudi, they know no matter how much they want to pretend, I'm putting myself at great risk by going out. You're not at risk. They're never going to hurt you. It's the Saudi people that are going to suffer for being who they are. And what you are doing when you go there, you are co-signing that suffering. And you are saying, I will be part of the distraction to that suffering. Remember, this is a regime, according to Human Rights Watch, that when people were trying to cross into their borders, by the way, border crossing, American shitlibs love to talk about this. Let's talk about this, right? They machine gunned them. They machine gunned them down. They laughed as they threw grenades and launched rocket-propelled grenades at people trying to cross their border. They mowed them down in their hundreds. This is a document. There's a 60-page document on Human Rights Watch. You can read all about that. And by the way, a lot of the people that got killed were coming from places like, where they were black. So, Black Lives Matter. Well, what about these black lives? No, you're gonna work with the people that took those black lives. And remember, it is the Saudi Arabian state. There's no degree of separation.
Also, if you're one of these people who, let's say, certain other Middle Eastern conflicts that are going on where you all hate kids being killed, look it up. Saudis have done stuff like bombed school bosses and stuff. Yeah, they've done all the shit that you cannot talk. Remember, what are those words you love? Genocide. They're like Hitler. You won't say that about the Saudis, by the way. They can't bank it on that.
And that's what I mean. I've just seen too much of how craven and cowardly people are on this particular topic. It is like, look, I get it. I know they're throwing shit tons of money everywhere, and we all want money, and we all want a comfortable life. But you just have to accept. And I feel like we end at this point on every episode of the podcast. You have to accept it's one or the other. It's one or the other. And if you ever come out and grandstand and with one hand grab the money and with the other hand you hold it up and you solemnly swear to uphold the values that are completely antithetical to that bag of cash you are holding in your left hand, you're going to get your card pulled. It's as simple as that. This is laughable. And this will get clipped and shown to him. And he'll come out and he'll do the usual, what are you going to say? You're going to say we're secret bigots. We're so bigoted. We're the bigots. We're the ones standing up for the gay community. We're the ones standing up for the trans community. We're the ones saying we want women's rights in Saudi Arabia.
I'll go one further. I'll allow you to publicly call me a bigot. I don't agree I am one, but I'm fine. You can do it as long as you then in the next sentence say out loud the following words. Prince Mohammed Al Bin Salman of Al Saud is also a bigot and he is involved with killing people. Do that.
I'll take
Have
that.
The balls. Keep the same energy and I'll take it. There you go. I'll take free shot from all of you. You get one chance to do it. You won't say that sentence out loud.
They will not say
you
that.
Won't. You will never say that.
All
no matter what you were planning to do, you'll never say that sentence out loud.
We'll be back for the FGC soon, I think.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.